Hello and welcome to Food Safety Fridays. My name is Simon Timperley from the International Food Safety and Quality Network, and today's topic is an introduction to BRCGS Gluten-Free Certification Program with Barry Meikle. Hi Barry, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Simon, or good morning, where I am. I'm very well.
So you're not in the UK at the moment?
I am not. I am in Guelph in Ontario in Canada.
Oh yes, I remember now. Oh, very nice. Yeah, and what's the weather like there today, Barry?
It's lovely now. Yeah, all the snow has melted, all the snowbanks have gone, and the sun is out, and it's getting warmer, so it's lovely.
Yeah, we're coming into spring now, thankfully, and hopefully with coronavirus receding, we can get out and about more. Say hello, everybody in the sidebar. Tell us where you're joining from, as you usually do. It's always great to see that. Looking forward to a good webinar today. I'm going to play the sponsors ads. We'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes for the presentation.
The world of food has changed a lot in the last 100 years. But one thing that doesn't change? Ensuring the quality and safe handling of food. No matter what changes are yet to come, we're proud to always be on our clients' side, shaping the future of food, today and tomorrow. AIB International, ever onward.
We're back. Right, I'll be back for the Q&A later, and for now, I'll hand you over to Barry for the presentation.
Thank you very much, Simon. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. So as Simon said, I am Barry Meikle. I am the Free-From Standards Manager here at BRCGS. So today I'm here to talk to you about the Gluten-Free Certification Program. So just a quick overview of what we'll cover today. I'll start off talking about the program development, how the program came into being and what it offers. I'll talk about what is gluten. Of course, we have to know what it is and where it's found before we can deal with it. I'll touch a little bit on the standard itself and the benefits that it can provide. Then I'll move on to talk about some of the key requirements of the GFCP. Then I'll talk about the certification process, from learning about the program and the audit right through to the certification itself. Then I'll talk about all the trademark options available to you and how to use them. And then finally, we'll touch on some further resources. I'll provide you with some handy links and contacts to help you on your journey. So the program itself was developed in around 2012, and it was run by a private company in Canada until 2018 when it was purchased by BRCGS. There were many goals in mind during the program's creation, but the main goal was to help consumers make clear and informed gluten-free food choices through on-pack trademarks. The program is endorsed by the two main celiac associations in North America, Beyond Celiac in the US and the CCA in Canada. We also have agreements in place with ASOMEX in Mexico and the AOECS in Europe to allow sites certified to the GFCP to use their trademarks on products as well. The program combines strict risk-based and preventative gluten-free control requirements with globally recognized food safety management systems. With the GFCP in place, consumers have more accessibility to a safe, broader selection of gluten-free products. As BRCGS is withdrawing additional voluntary Module 12 from March 31st, 2021, this means any sites who currently hold this certification, they will be able to switch to the GFCP. Any AOECS site with a certificate which is valid beyond the 31st of March will not be required to switch to the GFCP until the next audit. So as I mentioned, the GFCP offers several different trademarks for use on pack. These trademarks allow consumers to have an optimal worry-free shopping experience, letting them know that the products are safe for their consumption. I'll just run through these quickly right now. So in the center, we have the informed gluten-free trademark. This trademark is registered to BRCGS, and this can be displayed on any or all products destined for sale outside of any areas that we have a trademark in place. At the top left, we have Beyond Celiac, and this trademark is registered to the National Foundation for Celiac Awareness, and this trademark is intended for use for any or all products destined for sale in the USA. At the top right, we have the Canadian Celiac Association trademark, and this trademark is intended for use on products destined for sale in Canada. At the bottom left, we have the ASOMEX trademark, which is registered to ASOMEX in Mexico, and this may be used on products which are sold in Mexico. And at the bottom right, we have the AOECS crossed grain trademark. This trademark is owned by the AOECS and may be used on products sold in the EU, the UK, Norway, Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. So what's the need for this program? So an estimated 3 million people in the US, as many as 300,000 Canadians, and approximately 1% of the world's population has been diagnosed with celiac disease. It's now recognized as one of the most common chronic diseases in the world. It's a serious genetic autoimmune disorder which is triggered by consuming a protein called gluten, which is found in wheat, barley, and rye. When a person with celiac disease eats gluten, the protein interferes with the absorption of nutrients from food by damaging the small intestine. This damage makes it nearly impossible for the body to absorb nutrients into the bloodstream, leading to malnourishment and a host of other problems. There are more than 300 symptoms of celiac disease, and they may vary among different people. Some patients develop symptoms of celiac disease early in life, while others feel healthy far into adulthood. These differences can make it a very difficult diagnosis to make, resulting in 83% of people with celiac disease undiagnosed or misdiagnosed with other conditions. Some people with it have no signs or symptoms at all. If you've been suffering from symptoms that seem related to gluten, it may be possible that you may have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, or NCGS. This is the term which has been coined to describe those individuals who cannot tolerate gluten and experience symptoms similar to those with celiac disease. However, sufferers of NCGS lack the same antibodies and intestinal damage as seen in those with celiac disease. Research estimates 6 times the number of people who have celiac disease have NCGS. So, what is gluten? As I mentioned, until we understand what it is and where to find it, we can't control it. So I mentioned before that celiac disease is triggered by consuming a protein called gluten. So what is it? It's a protein from a grain or a hybridized strain found in barley, rye, wheat, or any modified gluten protein or protein fractions that are derived from any of these grains. There are many common products derived from or containing gluten, and many more where hidden sources may be present as an ingredient. So I've put some up on the screen here. So bulgur, this is made from the cracked parboiled groats of several different wheat species, most often durum wheat. Couscous, which is small balls of crushed wheat. Spelt is a species of wheat. Durum is the second most cultivated species of wheat after bread wheat. Seitan is a vegan meat substitute made entirely out of hydrated gluten. It is sometimes also called wheat gluten, wheat meat, wheat protein, or gluten flour. I think wheat meat is my favorite of that. Kamut is a species of wheat, which is also known as khorasan, and semolina, which is a type of flour made from durum wheat. So let's move on to talk about the standard itself. So the GFCP takes a management system approach to control gluten. Unlike other programs which certify products, the GFCP is a facility certification program. This means that any product made in that facility or site which meets the requirements of the GFCP can make a gluten-free claim using one of the GFCP trademarks. The global gluten-free product market size was estimated at $21.61 billion US in 2019 and is expected to expand at a compound annual growth rate of 9.2% between 2020 and 2027. Factors such as the rising prevalence of diseases occurring due to unhealthy lifestyles, increased awareness of healthy diets, and prevention of health disorders such as heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and obesity are expected to drive this growth. Making a gluten-free claim falls into a highly regulated and scrutinized product category for people with a special dietary need. Once consumers find products they can trust, their loyalty to that brand becomes very strong. The celiac community is very attuned to products available to them. They're very quick to reject products which they feel are not safe for them, their families, and their community. We've also learned that those avoiding gluten are very brand loyal. For most of us, our food choices are usually about taste. However, when your food choices can affect your health for the next 24, 48 hours, maybe even a week, you tend to stick to what you know and trust. So the GFCP trademarks have quickly become a reliable, trusted shortcut for consumers to recognize safe products, eliminating the need for reading labels and ingredient lists. So some key program requirements then. Any site in the GFCP must have prerequisite programs developed and fully implemented. These minimum programs must clearly address the risks associated with either hidden sources of gluten and cross-contamination. Some examples of the prerequisite programs required are premises, purchasing, transportation, receiving, shipping and storage, equipment and maintenance, personnel and training, sanitation, pest control, and traceability, including recall and withdrawal. If the site already has a well-documented set of prerequisite programs as a requirement of their certified GFSI scheme, then they merely need to weave the identified gluten controls into the GFCP standard into those existing prerequisite programs. Sites that are not yet certified in a Global Food Safety Initiative benchmarked food safety scheme must be certified in a GFSI Global Markets Program offered by a GFSI benchmarked program owner. The GFCP accepts any GFSI scheme, such as SQF, FSSC, IFS, and BRCGS Food 8, as well as GFSI Global Markets Program at the basic level of certification. So in addition to implementing a gluten-free management system, the site must assemble a gluten-free management system team. A GFMS team leader must be appointed and must have successfully passed the Gluten-Free Certification Program industry training course. The team members are required to have specific knowledge of gluten control, in addition to relevant knowledge of product, process, and associated hazards. The business may use external expertise if the appropriate in-house capability is not available. However, the day-to-day system management remains the responsibility of the site. The success of any team relies on regular contact and collaboration. There are strict laws in most countries relating to the labeling of gluten in products. Depending on where you are located, different gluten thresholds define gluten-free claims that may be declared on packaging. The GFCP is built on the foundation of legal compliance. One of the key requirements of the GFCP, and where it differs from other certification programs, is that the intentional addition of gluten is not allowed in any quantity for any product recognized under the GFCP. This means that no gluten-containing grain can be included intentionally as an ingredient. We've come up with the mantra of start clean, stay clean, meaning that if you can control gluten at every stage from incoming ingredients right through to the finished product, you've got a much better chance of having a safe product. So the GFCP does not prescribe a threshold requirement, but instead expects that the finished product meets regulatory requirements in the country of sale or a lower limit imposed by the site. Usually this threshold is 20 parts per million in the country of sale, but we do recognize that thresholds can vary around the world. So this is the reason why we've not set any threshold requirement. It's up to the site to set that threshold and to meet the requirements in the country of sale. So whichever gluten threshold is set, the GFCP requires a site to be held accountable for their stated threshold level limit within the management system. Overall, the GFCP defines a gluten-free product as any product that conforms to the GFCP requirements. So there's a lot of confusion around oats and whether they're actually gluten-free or not. Most people with an intolerance to gluten can handle oats in their diet without an adverse effect on their health. However, a major concern is the contamination of oats with wheat, rye, or barley that can occur during grain harvesting, transport, storage, and processing. Therefore, the risk of gluten contamination in products containing oats should be assessed. Growing and producing gluten-free oats involves special practices which ensure that oats contain no more than 20 parts per million of gluten. Only specially processed oats are permitted as ingredients in the GFCP. Oats contained in a food presented as gluten-free must have been prepared and or processed in a way to avoid contamination by wheat, rye, barley, or their crossbred varieties, and the gluten content of gluten-free oats cannot exceed 20 ppm. The GFCP requires that gluten-free oats are clearly identified in all cases where oats are referenced. This includes the ingredients list. So although I don't want to go through all the gluten controls individually, I would like to touch on laboratory and testing, as it's the topic I get asked the most about. The GFCP differs from other certifications in that it does not prescribe testing frequencies. As our whole program is built on management system approach to the control of gluten, we feel that testing, while important, should not be exclusively relied upon. Unfortunately, as good as they are and as sophisticated as they are, testing methodologies can have some limitations. These can result in gluten being under or over-reported based on the matrix being tested. Also, baking, fermentation, and hydrolysis make gluten virtually undetectable when using standard test methods. Since there are many testing options, manufacturers should consult a testing expert to decide which type of test is best suited for their product, processing, or specific situation. Although the GFCP does not prescribe what, how, or the frequencies for testing, it does require that a documented sampling plan is implemented based on risk, and an accredited lab is used annually at a minimum to validate the site's internal or contracted testing practices. Your sampling plan may involve multiple tests using different methods within many critical zones and with various frequencies. To help with the risk assessment process, a guide to best practices for sampling and testing and risk management for gluten has been included in Appendix 5 in the standard. Again, consult with testing experts before deciding what type of test is best for the site and product processes. So we're going to move now on to the certification process. How do you get involved in the GFCP? So the first step is to learn about the program. The easiest way to do this is to visit the BRCGS website or to contact us for some more information. You can also download a free copy of the GFCP Global Standard from our website. At this stage, you can also start to implement the program requirements into your business. To help with this process, you can access resources to assist you with your implementation directly from the link on screen, including a self-assessment checklist, so that you can begin to perform a gap analysis against the requirements of the standard. You can also reach out to our sales team at the email address on screen to help guide you in the right direction to start off with. So once you've learned about the requirements of the program and the expectations of the program, it's time to register your interest. The online form can be found on the BRCGS website. A lot of the gluten-free pages on our website have links to this form, so it's quite easy to find. Once you've submitted the form, a representative from BRCGS will contact you. Alternatively, you can simply email our sales team, sales@brcgs.com. Provide your details in the email, including your name, your site name, the site's address, and the country in which you are located, and one of our GFCP sales team will be in touch to get you started. As part of the registration process, sites are required to enter into a program license agreement, or PLA, with BRCGS. The PLA outlines the terms and conditions of the program, establishes the fees associated with the program, and defines the criteria in which the GFCP trademarks may be used. The PLA is signed by a representative of the site and BRCGS, by a representative of the site and BRCGS, and can be a single or multi-year in duration. A site's PLA fees must be paid prior to undertaking a GFCP audit. We also have a brand PLA for brand owners which are associated with your site. There is no fee attached to the brand PLA. So the other thing that the site is required to sign before the audit is the Schedule A. So the Schedule A is a list of all gluten-free products that will be recognized by the GFCP. Because any products which appear on the Schedule A are subject to SKU fees, only products which intend to or actually use a GFCP trademark are required to appear on the Schedule A. Upon completion, sites must complete the Schedule A and submit it to BRCGS for approval. If this is your first GFCP audit, the Schedule A is not required to have any products listed. As you're not yet certified, there will be no products using the trademarks, we hope. The Schedule A must be signed by the site and BRCGS, however, as a way to indicate to your CB that you have completed the registration process prior to the audit. You simply need to add no products displaying a trademark at this time on the Schedule A if you don't want to have any products indicated on there at the time of your audit. The Schedule A, once signed by BRCGS, is valid for 12 months from the date of signing. The Schedule A is not required to be valid at all times, but it must be valid on the day of your audit. So if your Schedule A expires in March and your audit is in August, for example, you don't have to have the Schedule A re-signed in March. You can wait until the end of July or August before your audit to have it re-signed. This will allow you to have the most accurate Schedule A on file for your audit. So even though products which appear in the Schedule A are eligible to display any of the GFCP trademarks, their artwork or labels must still be submitted for approval by BRCGS once certification is achieved. I'll go into more detail on label approvals later. Where a site only uses the AOACS cross-grain trademark on pack, a Schedule A is not required, as the AOACS has an equivalent process for tracking products, the Site Cross-Grain Trademark Certificate. Prior to a GFCP audit, AOACS member societies will provide the certification body with this document, which is a list of products by the production site to be included in the relevant cross-grain trademark license or licenses. This will act as confirmation that the site has entered into an agreement to manufacture products that carry the cross-grain trademark or hold a license agreement with an AOACS member society. The auditor will confirm that the list of products is consistent with the actual products to which the trademark is applied. So once you've been accepted into the program, it's going to be time to start preparing for the audit process. And these are the 5 steps in the audit in preparation for your audit. So audits against the GFCP standard are only recognized if they are undertaken by an approved certification body. A list of the GFCP approved CBs can be found on the BRCGS directory. I've provided the link on screen there for you as well. One quick tip for searching for CBs: filter only by the standard on the directory. If you filter by standard and country, this will restrict your results. The directory lists CBs based on the country in which their main office is located, not in countries where their auditors are located. CBs will likely have auditors in countries other than the one in which their main office is located. Not filtering by country will give you more chances of more choice of CBs and will allow you to find the best price for your audit. Once you've chosen a CB, they will take the lead and plan and schedule your audit. The audit scope is to include all applicable requirements within the GFCP global standard and all gluten-free production processes undertaken for the products listed on the site's Schedule A. It may include a specific line, room, or process in the site where cross-contamination could pose a hazard. However, in most cases, it will cover the entire site and its processes. The product scope category is determined by assessing the products produced and the manufacturing processes. This determination must align with one of the 22 GFCP product scope categories. So as I mentioned before, it's helpful to complete your own self-assessment or internal audit against the requirements of the GFCP. Any areas of identified non-conformance should be addressed by the site before your certification audit. The GFCP self-assessment checklist can be downloaded free of charge from the BRCGS website. There are 2 options and processes available for sites to demonstrate their commitment to the GFCP. These are a standalone audit or a combined audit. So the standalone audit, the focus of a standalone is only on the GFCP global standard requirements, whereas a combined audit, the focus of that is on the GFCP in conjunction with any other third-party food safety management system audit. Before the audit takes place, the CB will be able to indicate the approximate duration of the audit. The typical duration for a standalone is 1.5 to 2 days on site. The incremental time required to complete a GFCP audit when combined with another food safety management system audit requires a minimum of 0.5 days. For a site's first GFCP audit, gluten-free production must be running at the time of the audit. So in the GFCP, unlike other GFSI standards, there are no gradings of audit findings. This means no minor, major, or critical non-conformances. The audit findings are defined as either a pass, meaning they meet all requirements of the standard, or a non-conformance, meaning they do not. Following identification of any non-conformances during the audit, the site must undertake corrective action to remedy the immediate issue and to undertake an analysis of the underlying cause of the non-conformance and develop a preventative action. The action plan should include timelines provided to the CB. For each non-conformance raised, the site shall, in addition to undertaking the necessary corrective action, undertake a review of the underlying cause of the non-conformance. Sites have 28 days to close the non-conformances. If the audit is combined, the GFCP certificate will not be issued until non-conformances from the GFSI portion of the audit are also closed. Where a site is having a BRCGS start audit, I believe that the initial audit, the site is allowed 90 days to close out the non-conformances. So if a GFCP audit is combined with a BRCGS start audit, the 90-day rule will also apply to the GFCP. The final stage of the certification process involves a number of post-audit activities, and these include reporting on the audit and the outcome. So the certification body has 42 days from the last day of the audit to issue the final report. They will then grant the site the certification. They will publish the site's certificate on the BRCGS directory. The CB has a further 7 days for a maximum of 49 days to publish the audit report and the certificate on the BRCGS directory. And then finally, trademark usage and label approval. If the site chooses to use any of the GFCP trademarks on pack, then artwork or labels can now be submitted to BRCGS for approval. To assure continuity in the GFCP, all sites are required to be recertified at a minimum every 12 months. It's the responsibility of the site to schedule their recertification audit with a nominated certification body within the audit window which is indicated on their certificate. Typically, this audit window will be a 28-day period prior to the anniversary of the original date of the audit. This should ensure that the GFCP certificate never expires. Certificate extensions will not be granted except in extreme circumstances. If a site subsequently wishes to combine their GFCP audit with their GFSI scheme audit, this can be done by undertaking the GFCP audit twice in a calendar year. It's also possible to bring the GFSI portion of the audit forward, preferably provided the audit occurs within the audit window. So now we move on to trademark use and label approvals process. So once a site has achieved the certification, it may apply to use the trademarks on its packaging. As the BRCGS Voluntary Module 12 will be withdrawn on March 31st, we have reached an agreement with the AOACS for the use of their trademark in the GFCP. Sites previously certified to AVM 12 can switch to the GFCP, continue to use the AOACS trademark on packaging in the UK and Europe, and also take advantage of the 4 other on-pack trademarks that are offered by the GFCP. The use of the ASIL-MEX and AOACS trademarks is managed by those respective associations, and they have their own processes for the use of their trademarks, so I will only talk about the approvals process for the other 3 here today. So we have the Beyond Coeliac trademark for use in the USA on the left here, and the Canadian Coeliac Association mark on the right. In the center, we have the new BRCGS Informed Gluten-Free trademark, which is intended for use in those markets not currently covered by a trademark. All 3 of these trademarks are available in the color options you see here and in black and white. While we don't place restrictions on which countries the trademarks are used, we will always guide you to use the appropriate trademark in the correct country of sale. This will maximize the chances of the trademark being recognized and the chances of your product being purchased. So before you start applying the GFCP trademarks to your packaging, please download a free copy of our Free From Trademark Guideline, which is available at the link on screen. This document provides guidance on the use of the trademarks, including colour, size, and the use of statements indicating the ownership of the trademarks. There are also examples of what not to do with the trademarks and some guidelines for marketing statements and romance text. Because the GFCP is a facility certification program and not a product certification, we do not allow any statements which infer the product is certified gluten-free or gluten-free certified or any of those combinations which might suggest the product is certified itself. When you're clear on what the guidelines require, you can download a copy of the trademark approval form and Schedule A from our website. The trademark approval form contains a handy checklist within it to ensure that you submit all the documentation in the correct format and have considered the requirements of the trademark you wish to use. Once you're ready to submit your approval application, simply send the trademark approval form, Schedule A, and the label artwork in 100% scale PDF to labels@brcgs.com. If your artwork meets the requirements, we will send formal confirmation by way of a signed trademark approval form to you. If you have existing printed label stock that you wish to use a trademark on, we also have a temporary labeling option. This involves the use of stickers printed with the relevant trademark on them. If this is an option that you wish to take advantage of, please email us at labels@brcgs.com. We understand that when companies join the program, they may have an existing inventory of labels, so to save wasting those labels and be able to use the trademarks a lot quicker, this is why we have the temporary labeling option. So finally, I'm going to touch on some further resources which might help you in your journey to certification. As I mentioned before, the GFCP has an industry training course which sites are encouraged to take. You can find this on our new store at brcgs.com store. For GFCP help, guidance and resources on the GFCP, you can look at the GFCP pages on the BRCGS website, go to brcgs.com and choose the Gluten-Free Certification Program from the Our Standards menu. The Participate website is the website you can go to access all other BRCGS standards materials and GFCP materials as well. You can also find information about our plant-based standard there as well. The directory, we have a new directory which is up and running now. You can search for a CB or a GFCP certified site on there. Our Educate platform is the platform on which you can complete the GFCP industry training e-learning course and exam online. Once you've completed the exam, the certificate will be available to you immediately on that website. You can contact our training team for more details. And finally, here are some handy email addresses that you might like to take advantage of. As I mentioned before, the sales team will help you with the signing of your program license agreement for the GFCP. Any problems with the directory, your uploads, having your certificate or your audit report available, you can email our submissions team. Our inquiries team is available to help you with general inquiries relating to BRCGS. If you have any issues in accessing your training for the GFCP, you can email our training team. We hope you never need it, but if you ever have any problems with recalls and withdrawals, you can email our compliance team. And to get the trademarks for use on pack, email our labels team. Finally, you can contact me anytime. My email address is on the screen, barry.meikle@brcgs.com. I'll be very happy to hear from you and to help you on your certification journey. And thank you very much for listening. I will now take any questions if they have come in.
Yes, indeed. Thanks very much, Barry. Lots of questions, actually.
Good.
And some quite long ones.
Okay.
So let's start with a short one. Okay, from Aline, is it possible to use the informed gluten-free trademark in Canada?
Good morning, Aline. Yes, it is. As I mentioned in the presentation, we always try and encourage our sites to use the appropriate trademark in the appropriate market. So we do have the Canadian Association trademark for use specifically in Canada. However, we don't place any geographical restrictions on the use of the informed gluten-free trademark. So short answer, yes, Yes, it is.
Okay, and one from Michael. What tests are available to test the level of gluten proteins in raw materials for production such as barley?
Michael, the best thing I would suggest you to do is to download a copy of our standard and look at Appendix 5. There are a list of available tests. So you'll find the most appropriate test for barley in there. Unfortunately, I'm not a testing expert, so I would always refer you to Appendix 5.
Okay, and Danielle, do gluten certification bodies not accept the use of Alaflow gluten kit by hygienists simply because it doesn't have an AOAC validation?
That's a great question. I'm not aware of them not accepting any test kits. However, as long as you have the appropriate test for your appropriate product, appropriate matrix, it's been tested and validated by an external lab, then I haven't heard of any problems with any specific kits, no.
Okay, the next question is extremely long. Could you sort of read that and trace it and sort of see if you can pick the question out of that, because you know a lot more about it than me.
Question regarding the risk assessment that informs the frequency of sampling lab testing required. Okay, Appendix 5 gives guidance on the ease of detection of gluten, which can be included into 1/2 of the risk assessment. Appendix 5 also gives advice on what testing methods are validated for particular food groups. If a lab testing method validated for a particular food matrix is used, does the validated method negate against the ease of detection requirement in the Okay, so I think the short answer to this question is, provided you have risk assessed the products appropriately and use the appropriate test and come up with a testing frequency that is suitable for your site, this should meet the requirements of what we need. Albert, if you want to email me directly, I can spend a little bit more time on your question than obviously the few minutes we have here trying to manically read your question. But yeah, if you want a more comprehensive answer, please feel free to email me.
Yeah, we'll be circulating the recording and the slides in the follow-up email, so and Barry's email address is in that. Absolutely. So Fabian, the new Codex requirements have been published at the end of last year with an extensive allergen management program. If a facility is GFSI certified and shows full compliance against Codex, would BRCGS leverage this to support the GF certification?
Fabian, do you mean the GFCP certification or another gluten-free certification? So currently, if a facility is GFSI certified and has full compliance against Codex, then you're certainly eligible for GFCP certification. But I'm not sure if that's what your question is asking.
Okay, Bonita. New FDA regulations do not allow for gluten testing on fermented foods. Gluten testing must be done prior to fermentation, and fermentation is not allowed to be a gluten removal step.
Yeah, well, the GFCP covers this in the fact that we don't allow gluten to be included full stop. So there's no gluten removal step allowed anyway. We don't allow products to be processed to remove gluten. This is because of what I mentioned earlier about the limitations in testing. We don't feel that that's we've not found a reliable method for the removal of gluten to be confident that you will get consistent results every single time. So gluten removal is not something that we allow in our program. Only products which do not inherently contain gluten are allowed in our products.
Okay, clear. Mohammed, from the presentation, it seems like it's a process or system management program. Then why or how can we mark on the label gluten-free product?
You can still mark the product with gluten-free. You just cannot use the word certified in relation to the product itself. We have a list of acceptable marketing statements in our trademark usage guideline. They all refer to the fact that it's the facility or the management system at the site which is certified and not the product itself. So you still can claim gluten-free, this product is gluten-free, this product is made in a facility which is gluten-free certified. You just can't say this product is certified gluten-free or certified gluten-free product.
Okay. Martha, how can manufacturers ensure no cross-contamination during transport/international shipping?
Well, I think this cross-contamination with gluten, I presume, is what Martha's referring to. So I'm not an expert on transport and international shipping, but I would suggest that the same methods to control gluten at your site level might be used in shipping. Perhaps not using the same shipment to carry gluten-containing products and gluten-free products. That would certainly be one. Yeah, I mean, just simply ensuring that if there's no loose product in the shipping container, the transport container, that would also certainly help. We don't, if there's external contamination from gluten on the packaging materials, we're not particularly concerned with that, provided there's no open product exposed to that contamination. So provided the usual transportation and shipping rules are adhered to, there should be no problems.
Okay, another very long question from Kubra. Do you want to take a look at that one, Barry?
Preparing for a GFCO audit. Okay, so is this GFCO or GFCP? We only have one line to run both gluten-free and non-gluten-free products. We're planning to do GF production. Okay, first, after we sanitize the line, that was too hard to clean the tunnel oven. We have small operation of 2 big coolers where GF and non-GF ingredients have to share the coolers. So GF and non-GF ingredients. So yeah, a question I often get is a lot of people think that only dedicated gluten-free facilities are eligible for certification. That's not the case. We do have a lot of shared use facilities and shared lines, but obviously the steps to control gluten will be a little bit more involved at these facilities as they might be in a dedicated gluten-free facility. So again, your sanitation steps would have to be sufficient and validated to ensure that there's no cross-contamination. Obviously, you've mentioned there the scheduling of your operations can help reduce cross-contamination. Doing the gluten-free products first and then doing your other products afterwards, that would certainly help. Yeah, again, so what should I be following, such as putting the GF ingredient on the top shelf or putting the non-GF on the bottom? Yes, exactly. So adequate segregation and storage absolutely certainly helps your gluten control. Yeah, hope that answers.
Okay, and Vishna, is there a BRC base of certified manufacturers available publicly?
So yeah, I presume that's they're referring to the directory. So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the BRCGS directory. The link was in the presentation. I guess if you just do a search on your preferred search engine for BRCGS directory, you'll find it pretty easily. Go to the website and you can search. Certainly, yes, there is a list of certified manufacturers. You can filter by the standard as well, so you can find all the gluten-free ones or all the food ones or storage and distribution ones there.
Okay. Benita, if you are not setting a limit on the gluten in the product, but using manufacturer's limits from location law, how can you certify different sites to different limits?
If you're not setting a limit on gluten in the product, yeah, okay. So we do, there is a limit in the product, and that is dictated by the legislation in the country of sale. How can we certify different sites to different limits? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, Benita, but sites can certainly have a stricter gluten threshold than that is required by law in the country of sale if they wish. However, obviously this stricter gluten threshold must always be adhered to. So if you say you're going to have less than 10, you must meet that consistently. You must be able to meet that consistently.
Okay, Kubra, are there any audit checklists for gluten-free certification to do our own inspection before the real audit?
Absolutely, yes, there is. There is a self-assessment checklist available on our website. Again, if you go to brcgs.com, click the Our Standards drop-down menu, select Gluten-Free Certification Program. There is a self-assessment checklist available there. If you have any problems finding it, please send me an email and I'll be very happy to send you it.
Okay, Rowena, why are there no? Is there no reference to BRCGS on the on the informed trademark?
That's a very good question. I hadn't noticed there wasn't, to be honest with you. I'm not sure that I believe. I mean, the old international trademark was owned by the previous company that owned the certification program. I don't know, to be honest with you. That's a good question.
Okay.
It's possibly because we're not allowed to display our name on products. That's possibly why the other standards don't allow the BRCGS name to appear on pack. It's only for promotional materials and things like that for the other standards. So that's possibly the reason.
Possibly, yeah. Okay, Mark, can a non-conformance in your gluten-free audit have an impact on your grading of your BRC rating if it's been done as a combined audit?
No. A non-conformance in the gluten-free audit are only pass or non-conformance. As I mentioned, there's no severity, so that has no impact on your GFSI audit. However, having said that, if the problem extends beyond gluten control and leaches into other food safety requirements within the GFSI program, then perhaps it may. But as a short answer, no.
Rowena's asking about costs of program license agreement. Have you any ideas?
Yes. So the site program license agreement, I'm going to say it depends. So at the moment, for sites that are joining us from the additional voluntary module 12, we have a special offer for those sites to encourage them to come to the GFCP. Other sites that join the program license agreement fee is $2,500, either US or Canadian, depending on where you are, and I believe that's about £1,350 annually. So yes, those are the annual costs.
Okay, and Kunapuli is asking, gluten-free certificate, is it applicable in India? Is it available
Absolutely.
in India?
It's applicable. The GCP is applicable globally. There is no dedicated trademark in India that you can use specifically for a Coeliac association. We don't yet have a Coeliac association that will endorse our program in India, but the BRCGS informed gluten-free trademark is certainly available for use in India. Yeah.
Okay, and one from Martha. How trademarks are applied in products exported to Canada from the EU?
So the trademark that if it's exported to Canada from the EU. So if it's being produced in the EU and exported to Canada, presumably for sale in Canada, the trademark that we would encourage you to use would be the Canadian Coeliac Association trademark. But again, we don't place geographical restrictions on the trademark. However, we would always guide you to use the appropriate trademark in the appropriate market, because that customer recognition is there. The customer knows that trademark, they trust that trademark, and they know just to look at the label, see the trademark, and pick up the product.
Okay, and Dalip, does it help control obesity?
Being gluten-free?
Mm.
It can. I wouldn't make any claims about controlling obesity, because I think obesity is a much more complex issue than just gluten. Certainly, people have reported feeling just healthier, less bloated by eliminating gluten from their diet. So I wouldn't like to make any claims about curing obesity for the GFCP, but certainly people who move to a gluten-free diet certainly see a lot of benefits, and just a general feeling of well-being is one of them. But I don't think it cures obesity, no.
Okay, Tom, thank you, Barry. Do you know of any food safety regulatory authority who have established a quantification for gluten?
I don't know, Tom. I'm sorry. If you'd like to email me, I will certainly find out for you.
Okay, and Ian, based on your statement on fermented food, then is gluten-free beer based on the addition of enzymes to remove articles from brewing process and cause the risk, not accepted as a claim for BRCGF?
So provided the gluten-free beer is not based on a gluten-free grain such as barley or malt, then, and presumably the enzymes also are not derived from those gluten-containing grains, then we would consider the use of a trademark on a gluten-free beer, yes, but it would have to be derived from a non-gluten containing grain.
Okay, and Shraddha, as the 100% remote audit is not GFSI approved, can we combine the audit with a 100% remote audit with a 100% remote audit with BRC Food for GFCP?
Short answer is yes. So the slightly longer answer, yes, you are right that the remote audit is not GFSI benchmarked, so your certification will not be GFSI, or would not be considered to be GFSI benchmarked. You can do a combined audit 100% remote, but you can combine your GFSI and GFCP audit 100% remotely. However, you can't do this for your first GFCP audit. The first GFCP audit must be conducted on site.
Do you know if sesame seed is considered gluten-free?
Inherently, yes. Sesame does not contain gluten. However, with anything, it can become cross-contaminated. So if you were using sesame in your facility, it would have to undergo the same controls for gluten as any other ingredient. Yeah.
Okay, another one from Benita. FDA regulations foods with ingredients that are gluten-containing grains that have been refined in such a way to remove the gluten may use the claim so long as the food contains less than 20 parts per million. Gluten has less than 20 milligrams of gluten per kilogram, e.g. wheat starch. So it could be gluten-free, but not certified gluten-free. Was that a statement then rather than a question?
It's a statement to me, but I can pick apart that. Okay. Certainly. So yes, you are correct. However, I think the important phrase here is to be able to use a GFCP trademark. You are not permitted to have any removal of gluten in the product, and also at the end, but not certified gluten-free. The products in our program are not permitted to be called certified gluten-free or gluten-free certified product, or this product is certified gluten-free. It's the manufacturing facility in which the product is manufactured that is certified, not the product itself. So while there are other rules around the world on gluten-free claims and what you can see on pack, the GFCP has its overarching rules that you must follow.
Okay, Fabian, let's see. What do you mean when you say you do not allow removable manufacturing step? The manufacturing process of ethyl ethanol has a multiple distillation steps that support the removal of gluten. Does it mean that a distillery using wheat as raw material cannot go for GF certification?
No, it doesn't necessarily mean that a distillery using wheat as a raw material cannot go for GF certification. It only means that any products which are derived from wheat cannot make a GFCP gluten-free claim. If you have a validated process at your site to remove gluten, you can certainly make a gluten-free claim on your own without the use of any BRCGS trademarks. You can also get gluten-free certification program certification to underpin your processes, but at the end of the day, we would not allow the use of any GFCP trademarks on products which are derived from wheat or any gluten-containing grain or have those ingredients removed.
Excuse me. Sorry. Raymond's, we are currently using AOECS crossed grain symbol. Is it possible to keep it if we are certified by gluten-free program?
Absolutely. If you are currently certified to additional voluntary module 12, as I mentioned in the presentation, that certification is being withdrawn on March 31st this year. So if you wish to maintain the use of the AOECS cross-grain trademark, you can come over to the GFCP where that trademark will be also used, and you can get the benefit of the other 4 as well.
Okay, Shraddha, if the site do not get BRC food certification because of grading, can we issue GFCP certificate if it's done in combination with that?
No. So if the site has a combined GFCP and BRC food audit and it fails either if it fails the food 8 portion, because a GFSI certification is a requirement of GFCP certification, if you fail one, you can't be certified to the other. However, if you go through the usual processes to close out non-conformances in the time allowed, then certification can be granted. If your food 8 certification is still valid for, so if your audit happens and say your audit happens today, but your food 8 certification is valid until June, then I'm sure you could be certified for those coming months as long as you close out the food 8 non-conformances by June, or get another audit to be certified in your food 8 audit before that expires. But the simple answer is no.
Okay, Canupuli in India, some company having BRCA in case gluten-free certificate can be on. Yeah, that's what you've just said.
Can it be combined? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the GSCP you're able to combine your audit with any GFSI benchmarked program or any GFSI global markets program.
Okay, is Schedule A available on the BRC website?
Yes, it is. It's available on the Gluten-Free Certification Program pages. Again, it's a couple of pages in from the homepage, so if you can't find it, please send me an email and I will send it to you.
Okay, somebody asked before, is this webinar being recorded? It is, yes, and we'll send the recording afterwards. Maritunjay, oats being procured from European country and processed in India to make different products. So will we be eligible for a gluten-free claim?
Yes, provided those oats have been specially processed in a way that minimizes gluten contamination.
Martin's asking, can we consider gluten as an allergen and manage it as such?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you just weave the requirements of the GFCP into your existing allergen management program, you don't have to have a separate system for the GFCP than you do for your already established allergen program. Just consider gluten as an allergen as well. Okay,
Shredra, is there any limit for number of NCRs for passing a GFCP audit?
No. While we don't encourage it, you can have as many non-conformances as you want, provided you close them out within the 28 days required. Then there's no, like I said, there's no grading of your GFCP audit. There's no A, B, C grade. It's just pass or fail.
Super. Well, there were lots of questions actually.
Yeah, fantastic.
Took us over the hour. So brilliant. Thanks for your time, Barry. We have exhausted the questions. Lots of great information. Yeah. So sorry. Lots of great questions, and we will follow up with the slides that have got the links to all your contacts at BRCGS.
Yeah. And if anybody has a question that wasn't answered today, or they think of something later, please free.
Okay. Super. Right. Thank you. The connection's gone a bit strange at the end. I don't know if it's your end or my end, Barry, but the connection's gone a bit funny.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully you can still hear me.
I think so.
Okay.
Right. We're done. Yeah. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
See you later.
Thanks. Bye-bye.